And I said, "Hey, hey Dad, this is my old field hockey coach." And my dad's response was, "You played field hockey?"
Well, due to popular demand, we had to get back our most famous guest we've ever had, which is basically one of the only guests we've ever had, which is our cousin, Matt Guthrie. He's back for more. I can't believe it.
Yay, Matt.
Gentlemen.
Yay.
What have you learned since you were last on our podcast, Matt? Have you learned anything about life since we last saw you?
No, I learned the best podcasts you have are the ones that I'm on. It's kind of weird.
Even the one we haven't even done.
1 out of 7, not bad.
Yeah.
Could be better, could be worse. We just said, you know what? Let's not break what's, fixed. Is that a saying, guys? I don't know. That's a saying.
No.
And not broken is probably more appropriate.
Don't disagree with me on this, all right? It's been a long day. But no, I think that I like Matt's atmosphere. I think he has a good sense of humor. And he's also our cousin, so I guess I have to say that.
It is the Cousin Podcast.
What else can you call it? I mean, that's kind of what it is. So.
The Cousin Show. Sorry, I already got it wrong.
Well, I've noticed that whenever we have conversations either on the podcast or outside the podcast, we tend to agree on a lot of things. I would say we probably agree on most things. But I've also noticed that a lot of families don't have that. They always say, if you go have the Thanksgiving dinner with your family, there's always that dread of what are we going to talk about? We don't have that, which I don't know if that's more of a rare thing or a more common thing. But I always hear that that's a thing that's actually out there. But do we have any major disagreements about anything in particular? I'm sure religion and politics, which is something we usually stay away from. But in terms of other things, have we ever had a major argument? Any of us? Some people were no. I can't think of any time we've all argued about anything in particular.
I don't agree with a single thing you've said.
Well,
start it.
Number one.
Luke is pissed.
Yeah. Well, I know that we probably have disagreements with tiny little things, but no major arguments. And I know that certain people just it's a different atmosphere when I see other people and the way they argue. But the way we argue is well, I'm just not going to bother with that. I just kind of fight or flight, and I'm going to kind of just avoid this situation, and not worth it.
Fight or flight.
I think it's one of those things. I think it's one of those things too, where because obviously most of us are cousins, but some of us are brothers to one another, literally. Mm-hmm. So if you're obviously Luke's my brother. I mean, when we were growing up together, we would have
what?
A ton of arguments.
Yeah.
I mean, Luke, you can tell the story better, but you literally stabbed me with a pencil one time.
Yeah, I did.
Assault.
And I used that as a premise for your wedding speech.
Yeah.
Your best man speech.
Oh, that was that story. That was
amazing.
Okay. I was geez, Luke. Attempted murder?
Might as well have been.
Yeah. You had, I think it was an Aladdin pencil, wasn't it? You were saying at the best man speech?
Yeah. So
what did Joel do? Why were you so mad at him that you had to stab him?
I don't even know.
Probably because he had an Aladdin pencil.
I don't want this.
Yeah.
No, I have no idea. It was probably something stupid.
Something should have been mad about.
No, I'm sure there was a good reason for it.
It could have been one of those things
Thanks,
where you're
Cody.
Welcome.
Well, I remember it was out in the backyard, and Joel was just I don't know, bending over doing something, and I stabbed him right in the butt cheek.
I literally had to go to a doctor, and they had to try to get the lead out of my butt using a needle, 2 needles.
Look, to be fair, they don't use lead in pencils anymore.
Yeah, it was a pencil sharpener.
So,
yeah.
I don't think Cody and I ever had, I know that we had little spats, but we never had anything major, I don't think. I remember there was one time, and this was not so much a fight as it was just I've noticed that I think this is the Josh way of arguing, as I always do it. It's always the you might be right, but I'm not going to do whatever it is you want from me. It's the
stubborn.
Yeah, it's just the approach
Right.
of I might concede that you could be correct, but I'm still not going to let you do whatever it is you want to do. If we both say we both wanted to do something, he could be logically explain your way through this thing, but by the time I'd get there, Cody could probably be maybe, but I'm just not going to do that. The most classic one was like every Friday night we'd go rent a movie after school. And this was back in, I think, during El Nino, the 97 El Nino in like Ventura County, where it was raining heavily. And Cody and I were home alone on Friday night, and I really wanted to go rent a movie, which was like down the street. And our parents went home, so I was like, well, Cody, we should go. Let's go. We have to go get one. And Cody was like, well, yeah, I'd like to go get one. But I don't want to do that. I'm like, well, we're not going to have a movie then. He's like, well, you can go. I'm like, well, this is kind of a dilemma for me. And I'm like, why don't we both go? You're like, no, you can go. And then we'll have a movie. I'm like,
Yeah.
I can't argue with that.
There's definitely different degrees of arguments, because I had a similar argument with somebody, lasted probably 45 minutes, about who was going to get Taco Bell. And and yeah, it was a heated argument. Yeah, the guy I was arguing with was fairly committed to not doing it. So I don't even remember what happened.
You guys were both standing behind two podiums?
Yeah, we were both standing right outside Taco Bell.
You will get Taco Bell.
Well, and it's just, I think it's how, how committed are you to your point or your argument? It's like the level of commitment is what's impressive. And I was talking a little bit with Dillon about I had an argument. I don't know if it was an argument, but a discussion with Jake. And if you have, I know all of us don't have kids. Some of our kids are pretty young, but my kids are at the stage right now where it's like, it's glorious to argue with them because you see what level of commitment they have. And I actually had an argument with Jake, and he brought home a progress report, and he had like a B- or something like that, which for some reason, he's kind of in trouble for. And I don't know why. That would have been cause for celebration when I was a kid. But yeah, we would like straight to the drive-thru for your surprise. And we let him do something with his girlfriend on Saturday, but he wanted to do something with his girlfriend on Sunday. And we told him that he couldn't do something with his girlfriend on Sunday. And he proceeded to tell us how hypocritical we were, because if he was really in trouble, we shouldn't have let him do anything on Saturday. So he literally got mad at us for letting him hang out with his girlfriend. That's how committed he was to his argument. And it was like, the first thing that popped in my head was that meme from Ron Burgundy, where it's like, I'm not even mad. That's actually kind of impressive. Yeah.
This is very intelligent.
Yeah. Wow. You are. Yeah. You're right. I should have not let you do that really cool thing I did.
Yeah. I think that when I think about like times that I ever got in trouble as a kid, it usually was probably involving grades to some degree. And my mom and dad were so different about this. It was, you were mentioning like cause for celebration, getting a B-. Like my mom was she was a really good student. I think she either got straight A's or was as close as you can get to getting straight A's. And if we got, like, I was as a B student, I think Cody, you were too. And it would always be like, hey, you guys could do a little better. And every time our dad would just be like, high five, man. Get that B. You stay there. Yeah. I'd get like a C. He'd be like, any D's we might have a problem with, but C's, yeah, okay, whatever. You do your thing. But
he's like, as long as you get married, I don't care. As long as you get married to kids.
Yeah. What year is it?
How old are you, boy?
Yeah.
Did you ever have to do that with your folks, man? I don't know what the Guthries, how it was in their household. I mean, I've heard rumors from Josh about how it was for grades.
Yeah, it was. Our household functions a little differently. Rhonda's she's she demands high standards.
All right,
which is good. I mean, it was. Yeah, when we were in school, it was just I can count on one hand how many times anybody ever asked me if I did my homework. Yeah. And the answer most of the time would have been no. But yeah, it was just one of those. Yeah, you didn't get kicked out of school. Sweet, let's go to McDonald's.
Yeah, I can see your dad getting like being stoked when he gets like your report card and he's glad that it hasn't been like rolled up into a joint that you found in your bed.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think that probably the best example of sort of where they were at. And again, you know, it was one of those things where I think we perpetually had like $4 in the bank. But, you know, I actually played, you know, later when I was a little bit older, we ran into a guy that I knew. Matter of fact, it was the same guy that I argued with about going to Taco Bell, coincidentally. And I said, "Hey, hey Dad, this is my old field hockey coach." And my dad's response was, "You played field hockey?"
You're my son?
It was like, I played an entire sport you don't remember. Not sure how I feel about it.
You were talking about like you have an argument with your child about, you know, something. You're just like, why in the world? I'm trying to think of times that I would argue with either my mom or my dad where I look back and I go like, what was I thinking? Like I was so desperate to get out of that situation when I would just say anything that comes to mind. I remember there was one in particular that I kind of laugh about. I just go like, that was my best comeback. I remember like, I think I was 6 years old. I think it was my stepdad at the time. He was getting on to me about something. And I don't even know what I did, but I remember very visually, I was in the hallway and he was standing on one end and he was yelling at me about something. And I was just like, you know, what do you want? You know, like I said, like, I can't do it. And he was just like, when are you going to understand how to do this? And I remember I was 6 years old at the time. So I logically thought, well, I don't want to say now because that means I'm going to out myself. I don't want to say next year because that means that like that's going to happen really soon. I'm going to make this 2 years. So I remember just saying, I'm going to learn when I'm 8 years old. And I just walked away. And that was my comeback. That was like, man, I schooled that guy. I totally told him. And I usually thought about that. I'm like, how smart of me. Give myself 2 years before he can call me back out.
Sound logic.
Yeah. I'm just thinking to myself, like, what a stupid thing to say.
What was the thing that he wanted you to figure out?
I don't know.
Potty training. It's probably potty training.
Yeah. He was 9.
Yeah. Wiping.
It was how to do my taxes. You know?
I think a lot of times too, it's not even it's should you be arguing about this? And I think, you know, Roddy's kind of gotten on to me several times about my initial response to something. You know, it's like, is the response sort of argumentative, you know, and should you be arguing at all? But I was getting ready for work the other day. This is like within the last week. And Jake comes into the room and I'm getting ready for work. I'm standing at the sink and brushing my teeth or something. And he goes, "Hey Dad, where are the towels?" And I'm like, and I look at Rodney and I'm like, how do I not get mad about this? You know, like you've lived here for 14 years. They're in the same place. They've been all 14 years. Yeah. Did you look there before you asked me that? Yeah. But it's like, yeah, I have to. I don't know how to say that polite. It's just I don't know how to say it polite. It's like, this is going to be an argument because you shouldn't be asking me that question. and you know what's funny, what's ironic about that is that's not even the worst towel related argument we ever got in.
Your household is
because
really
one
weird.
time he said, he was like getting out of the shower and he yells, "Can you get me a towel?" So I walk in, gosh dang it, you know, I walk in and there's a towel hanging there. This is several years ago. And I go, "There's a towel hanging right there." And he actually said to me, "Yeah, but that's kind of a sharp towel."
I cut myself on that towel.
Yeah. It wasn't
Wow.
it wasn't like super duper soft.
It's like a hotel towel.
Oh my God.
It could be the first time those two words were ever put together.
Yes.
Sharp towel.
I just walked out like just catatonic. Like,
Yeah.
I don't even know how to respond to that.
And you look over and he's just bleeding off his chest.
Yeah. No,
Cuts and
seriously.
wounds.
Cut to
No,
shreds.
seriously, Dad, there's razor blades all over the stuff.
Oh, that's your razor towel. Oh, okay.
It's full
Puncture
of glass
towel.
shards.
What was the time you guys all got in trouble? I can only think of like a handful of times that, like, it was. I think we were generally well-behaved kids for the most part. I can't speak on behalf of the Guthries for horror stories.
I got in trouble when I stabbed Joel with a pencil.
Okay. I would imagine
Yeah.
attempted murder of the brother. I think.
Yeah, that was no fun.
You got like a time out for that these days.
Yeah.
Could
I'd
it-
welcome it.
Cody, I don't know if you remember the time that it was the most mad Dad has ever been with us. I asked you about this before, and you're like, you didn't remember. But I'm like, how can you not remember this? It was like traumatizing. The guy was mad. Because our dad kind of has a short temper. Apparently, it used to be way worse back in the day, but I don't think Cody and I ever saw the worst of it. But we came back from Bass Lake. It was the first time we went up there. It was back like when we had the private dock, the one with the pool table. Yeah, the whole place. It was me, Cody, and my dad. We came back from the trip, and I don't even remember what he was mad about. But I remember he pulled me and Cody into Cody's room, and he just screaming at us, just going off. And I don't even remember what he said half the time. It was just rage, just pure rage coming out of his head. I was just like, whoa, like what did we do? And I was just like, I don't know what he said. But the next day, of course, he apologized, went and got us Wendy's or something. Just like, I think he realized, he was like, yeah, why was I so mad at those guys?
I think I ate the last of the Wheaties. Is what it was.
You don't remember what you did?
I don't recall. I think it had something to do with Kayla. I want our younger sister. I don't know. I think either like he was mad that we weren't giving her enough attention or something like that. I think that's something of what it was. But I honestly don't remember because it was so like shocking. Like, whoa. Because our dad, like, yeah, he gets like a little like stern, but he never got like mad. Like this was like, whoa, this guy's going off. Like, and he's like, he was mad about something else, probably just taking it out on us.
Right.
But it was just like, dude, the fear of God coming down on us, just like, good heavens. Like, whoa. Did not expect this to happen.
I remember it was the same trip, the Bass Lake trip, and me and you, Dillon, were in the back of the boat, and we were holding on to the inner tube, and we were like going back into like the dock. So like we're holding on the inner tube, like make sure it didn't fall like back in the water as like we're going to, you know, whatever top speed is. And the inner tube like catches air, and Dillon, you try to grab the rope to like bring it back in, and the rope just like keeps sliding out of your hands, and your hands just disintegrate with the rope. And I remember it's like one of those times, Matt, that you were kind of saying where it's like you accidentally kind of picked the wrong emotion in that moment. And I remember your dad, instead of being like concerned and worried, he was just like, Dillon, gosh dang it. He's like pissed. Like, dude, his hand he just has like wrists right now. He doesn't even have hands.
I'm kind of bummed I didn't make the Bass Lake trip because it sounds like a blast.
Yeah, it was great.
That's like a lot of rage from my dad.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, yeah, no, of course, I've relived that moment in my head 1,000 times. I think that was a miscommunication on mine and Joel's part, that whole accident, because we both thought the other one was holding on to the inner tube, and it caught air and flew back, and I thought, you know, it just kind of all happened in slow motion. I thought I could bring it back, but the rope just went zzz right through my hands and took all the skin off it, and I don't know if you can see the scars on my hands right here, but yeah, still have them to this day. It was really painful, but of course, my dad's way of dealing with stress is getting mad, and it's just immediate, this like, dang it, you know, and I don't know how I would deal with it, but it's just funny how his first reaction to his son is hurt is, dang it, you stupid child.
How dare you make me scared?
I hate my father. Nah, he took care of the situation.
That's the old parental saying, if you get hurt, I'll kill you.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, it's funny because our mom's situation is usually like if she gets stressed, she's like, just call your dad. I'm like, oh great. So now it's just terrible things happening. No matter what, my dad's getting mad at me. This is terrible.
You know, it's funny. For things you kind of like got angry at your parents about, I guess you want to flip it around. I remember I was thinking about this before we were talking about coming on this podcast, and I can remember. So when we were speaking of being poor when we were younger, we didn't have to pay for haircuts because fortunately Luke and Joel's mom cut hair. So I scored. And so at one point she had sort of learned how to give perms, and they decided that I'd be a good test case.
Are you serious?
Swear to God. And that photo exists somewhere, and
wow.
I would imagine now Dillon's going to be on full-time perm photo search.
It's my wallpaper.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I was like the test case for the perm. I mean, it was like my mom's like, "You're getting a perm," and I'm like, "What are you talking about?" She's like, "No, seriously, it's going to be awesome." And I think there's pictures of it, and it was like the worst thing ever. The only thing that might have been, you know, that might have rivaled that for worst sort of haircut story was my dad, you know, in all his infinite wisdom, bought a Flowbee.
Yeah. Oh yeah, the infamous Flowbee, man.
Yeah, and that was like, evidently that was supposed to be a good idea and save us some money, and I used it, and didn't really work out like I hoped it would.
But he still uses it, right?
Probably. Yeah.
Well, it's like we've heard stories from Josh before about times that he got in trouble, but like, was there any times that you, like Matt, like you like, it was you're a little bit older than we are, so we probably didn't get the gist of like what you had to go through, but I'm sure you had a different experience that we did growing up, because I'm sure your mom and your dad just probably
I don't know. I mean, I can't think of times, at least when I was really young, when I got that stand out that got in trouble. I think it was like, when you get a little bit older and you're maybe about the age Jake is now, and kind of getting in trouble, which is almost worse because you're missing out on like stuff that was way more important.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it used to be, I can remember as a little kid, I'd get in trouble and it'd be like, I could hear like kids half my age outside playing, and it was like time for me to go to bed, and I'm like, how does that work? But I can remember one time when I think I was like a freshman in high school, or I had just met Rondi, and I was supposed to be able to go to some football game or something, and my dad just like, no, I did something, I don't know, probably got a B-. We would have had a party, and I couldn't go, and so it was, and it ended up, Rondi ended up going out, and it was like all these people, and I had to miss out, and it was like the worst possible thing ever. It was like, I was like begging. I'm like, seriously, hit me with the paddle or whatever you got to do. Let me go. And, yeah, but
just beat me.
Yeah, seriously, I was like, beat me. I want to go out tonight to the football game and whatever. And it's like, you're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
Have any of you guys ever done the classic thing where you go out with like friends or whatever, and you have your curfew, but you just blow through your curfew, like not even close. You're just like, well, I'm supposed to be home at 11. It is now 3 a.m. I am in a lot of trouble, and you walk through the door, and one or both of your parents are just sitting on the couch staring at the door, just wide awake. It is the worst thing on the face of the planet.
All right.
This
is like pre-cell phones, pretty much. Like, this isn't like...
What are you talking about?
Now you don't really have to worry about it.
Pre-cell phone.
Sorry, guys. Sorry.
I don't think Cody and I really had like a curfew thing that we ever had, but I think there was a brief time. I remember you guys saying you had some. Like, what was the curfew that you guys had to adhere to? Like, and how old were you? There's like this weird gray area of time where, like, if you're a teenager, you want to go out. They know you want to go out, but like, at what age do you say, yeah, you can stay out past, like 11 p.m.? And why is it 11 p.m. and not like 11:30 or 12? Like, I remember heard someone say like nothing good happens after midnight. I'm like, yeah. And only good things happen after 12 p.m. Like, I don't.
It's like, what are you talking about? Jack in the Box is open all night.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, our parents were pretty smart about it, and they didn't really institute a curfew until we started dating.
No.
But you know what,
like,
though?
just hanging out with like our friends or guy friends, like our parents knew anyways. Like, my best friend called my mom and dad, so like they didn't care about him. Mm-hmm. It was just like after dating, they were like, yeah, you come home.
you come home.
My dad was one of those guys, and you guys know him, obviously. It's like, you could be 4 houses over and sneeze, and my dad will just shoot up out of bed because he hears everything. So it was like, my whole thing was like, and again, I don't know. I mean, it seemed pretty obvious, I guess, especially nowadays. But it's like, we're gonna do homework till like 4 a.m. at my buddy's house, so I'm just gonna crash over there. So yeah, for me, a lot of times it was like, I'm not even coming home. I'm just spending the night at a buddy's house or whatever.
Right. Yeah, I think I had it easier than you did, Luke. I think you got like the brunt of the curfew and stuff, and for me it was just like, we don't care.
Yeah, I think they eased up a little bit for you. I don't know why. You're probably the better kid.
Took their
better
time.
Liar.
You're a better liar.
Have you ever told a lie, like a lie you specifically remember just to get out of getting in trouble? I can't think of anyone in particular at the moment, but I know that's what people do.
I remember Luke and we told the same lie, and we both got caught for it when we went to see, I forget what movie it was. It was like some rated R movie that our mom didn't want us to see. And she found, like, later that day or like the next day, she found the movie stub in Luke's room.
Luke, you blew
like
it.
Two of them. And she just like stormed downstairs. It's like, gosh dang it. What an amateur move, Luke. Leave
Boogie
the
Nights?
movie stubs.
Boogie Nights. Yeah, what movie was it?
I think
don't
I think I put him on her pillow.
Yeah.
It's like I can't live with a guilt.
Yeah.
She lost a tooth that night.
Luke was like, Joel went to see this movie, and then he left, and then he went right back in and saw it again. Those are both his tickets.
Yeah.
I waited outside the theater for him.
Yeah.
I have no idea. Do you remember what movie it was? I don't know. What
I
that
don't
was.
remember. I don't think I was even old enough to get the ticket, though. I think I had to go with you to like get the ticket.
Yikes.
It was Under the Tuscan Sun.
Ishtar.
Under the Tuscan Sun. Yeah.
Classic movie. Cody, what was the time you got in trouble? I'm trying to think. I'm trying to go through our Rolodex of memories here, going like, what time did Cody get in trouble?
Me? I got spanked one time when I was little, like 28. Oh wait.
Yeah. I was like, Cody, this is about when you were a kid.
By your parents, Cody.
Oh, okay. I got parents.
Must
Okay.
have got a B minus.
I went outside one time. My dad got mad and spanked me.
How dare you see the sunlight?
Jeez.
No, it was nighttime.
Nighttime?
Yeah.
What?
I think in the grand scheme of things, we were the best kids on the universe.
I know.
Yeah, and I just of looking back, going like, yeah, we were actually really well-behaved kids. We didn't really get in that
One
much
time,
trouble.
my dad couldn't find his regular belt, and all he could find was his gym belt. So, which actually, it's you know, at kind of first glance, it seems worse, but it's not. I mean, it's like
Yeah, it's like a big old padded
yeah,
like
exactly.
weight belt.
Yeah, it's like those little whippy belts are the worst.
Yeah, I think we only got spanked like 2 or 3 times in I think our entire life. Cody and I don't think we've ever gotten the belt. We've never experienced the belt.
Really? That's what's wrong with you.
I got the brass knuckles. But he would skip over the belt.
You got the whip. You got the whip.
Yeah.
But
No,
I was
got-
into it.
I got the belt once, and I think it was for I don't know. I was probably being a jerk to Joel. That was pretty much 99% of what I got in trouble for.
I
Being
always
a
remember you
horrible
beating
big
Joel
brother. Yeah. Yeah.
Matt, did you ever get in trouble for like Josh for any reason?
No, I think it was just for driving him crazy. You know, I can remember.
Mental abuse.
Yeah, it was. You know, and I'm sure he could chime in on that. But I remember you guys did a podcast episode about video games, and we used to, you know, and I'm 8 years older than Josh, so it was like, you know, completely unfair. And we would play, and you know, he started getting better at video games and stuff. So I would just make it. It would be like, hey, best of 3. Unless he won 2 of the 3, and then it was like best of 5, and then it was best of 7 until I won.
Best of
and then it was
900.
like, all right, you know, you owe me $20, and then it was like he'd go screaming to mom, and yeah, I'm like,
You owe me
"What?
$20
What?" You know, yeah, which was like, yeah, which is like more money than any of us had.
Yeah.
To this day, he's trying to get like qualified for a HELOC so he can pay you off.
Yeah, yeah, it was pretty torturous for him.
I think, speaking of video games, I remember one time, this is kind of lying to my mom, but it was when we had like the original Nintendo. We were playing Mario or something really basic. And it was like right before like bedtime, and we had school the next day. And she literally set, because me and Luke were playing it all the time. And she literally set a timer in front, like on top of the TV. And every time she went upstairs, I just turned the timer back like 5 minutes. And she'd come back down. Then she'd go back up, turn it back 5 minutes, just so it didn't go off. It worked for a while.
Your mom can't tell time.
Yeah, until an hour passed, and she's like, wait a second.
It's been a whole day. I'm in different clothes.
It's 5 in the morning.
Yeah, but kids have no concept of that stuff, because I mean, I'm sitting here at Jake's computer, and he's got 3 monitors here, and this is where he sits and plays Fortnite or whatever he plays. And it's like, he'll get up on Saturday morning, and it's like, you know, we're still in bed, and he gets up and plays, and it's like, all right, hey, Jake's been playing video games for 4 hours. All right, Jake, wrap it up. All right, whatever. Yeah. I'm like, dude, it's been 4 hours. I'm the worst parent ever. Yeah, and he's just like,
Man.
I remember those days where
off the
that's
rest
all
of the
you
day.
wanted to do on your weekend was just play video games all day. But I remember I had the timer as well back in the day, because our younger brother Warren was the biggest gamer between me and Cody and him. And I remember we literally, it got so heated to where if we were playing a game, you literally had to set that timer. And the second it would go off, you'd just be like, hold on, I need like 5 more minutes just to get to like a save point or something like that. But no, it would be like, I need it now. And I'm like, there could be 1,000 other things we could be doing with our day than playing video games right now. Like, come on.
Right. And the sadder part is that you're watching the timer.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think that's the big difference. It was like, way back when that's all we did was play outside. Now it's like,
Yeah.
did
It's all
you put your
inside.
bulletproof vest on? Cool. Come back in 5 minutes.
Speaking of getting in trouble, I don't know if you remember this, but I was playing that game Turok on N64
Oh, I remember this.
in front of Warren, and
I
Warren
remember
was
this.
like 3 years old at the time. And I remember Mom walking in at the time when I'm like shooting someone, and there's like blood spilling out of the character, and they're like yelling like to their death and like falling over, and she's like, "Turn that off!" I'm like, but it's a robot. She's like, "No, it's not." It's like, Warren's watching. I'm like, all right. So, yep, couldn't play it. I kept telling him to like leave the room, and like I would have him go upstairs, and like so I could play it. But yeah,
I remember
super
that. I
weird.
remember that. I remember her getting she didn't like the whole like obviously blood and violence, especially Warren was so young. It's like she didn't want him to get desensitized to the whole thing. But I do remember that. I remember she was just like, "Stop!"
Yeah.
She,
God.
She was right. Look at you guys.
Yeah.
exactly.
Shut up, Matt.
Yeah.
I'll kill you.
We're finally disagreeing.
Is one of my things I always like to think about when it comes to childhood is things that you wish you could go back and change. And it reminds me of like the things I wish I could go back and change is when you have an argument with somebody. And I remember there was one argument in particular I had with a teacher. It wasn't even an argument, it was just her yelling at me essentially. But long story short, I made a joke in class. She didn't think it was funny. And she was just like, "Excuse me?" And she was like, "If you have a problem with this, then you can see me after class." Just like, the whole class is quiet. So they're just like awkward. And I'm just like, jeez. So I didn't say anything. And as the bell rang, she's like, "Dillon, you sit in your chair. You're going to talk to me." It's like still going. I mean, this has like been 20 minutes after the whole previous joke had happened. And afterwards, like everyone left and she comes up. She's like, "What the hell was that all about?" And this woman is like 22, 23. But at the time, it seems like she's like, some grand master. She's Gandalf to me at this point. I'm just a little kid. But yeah, if I could go back and be my age now, I'd just be like, "You are out of your mind. You are insane. I made a joke, lady. Like, take it easy. What's wrong with you? Like, did your boyfriend hit you or something? Like, what's going on? Why are you taking this out of me?"
You don't listen to Louis C.K.? Come on, everybody knows that joke.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And I just remember being like, wherever that woman is, like, I just want to be like, you realize that was like one of the stupidest, like, that is a memory to me that you now hold a place in my life where I go, you're a stupid person. Like, you now have made yourself on the shelf of my life going, that's a dumb person.
Little did we know, Dillon did the whole Chris Rock routine in the middle of class.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Eddie Murphy Raw.
Yeah. Exactly.
Word for word, perfectly.
I was up there for 30 minutes just doing stand-up.
It was actually amazing.
You do not interrupt me.
I can't imagine like having that much energy like as a teacher, like around that age, like being around kids all day, like different sets of kids every hour. It just boggles my mind. Like if I was a teacher, I would just imagine myself as like Jack Black in School of Rock and just have like a hangover every day and just like turn down the lights. It's like, all right, everybody's gonna read for another hour.
Well, it's like I've done things that are way worse than what I did in that moment. Again, like maybe, okay, I made a joke that it was kind of dumb, sure, but I'm like, I have been in situations to where like the school has almost been on fire because of something I've done, and the teacher kind of laughed it off. This woman just took a joke the wrong way, and it's like, stop everything. This person should be reprimanded for this. And I'm like, I'm generally a good student. I'm like, were you trying to make an example of this? In fact, actually, speaking of which, there was another instance I had with a teacher that I believe, Matt, your daughter, has him right now. I don't want to name drop him. But Cody, you had him too. He's the teacher at Balboa Middle School. He's very stern.
Mr. D?
Yeah. I don't want to say who it is. I don't know if you know who it is.
I'm sorry, you guys weren't in Gate.
That's something I have on the side of my house.
Humble brag.
We were engaged, is what I should say. No, but I remember like again, another long story short. Essentially, like I walked to a certain spot I wasn't supposed to walk to, and he came out and he was like, "What are you doing over here? Put your hands against the wall!" Like I was literally like under arrest, and he like patted me down, and like this like the bell rang, and he was like, "Don't you move!" And it was like me and two other kids against the wall, like literally like our hands, like our legs spread, like we'd committed the worst crime we could commit. And I'm like, hold on, like I just walked over here, like am I under arrest?
That spot was the girls' restroom. To be fair.
And you were fully nude.
Yeah, well,
it does sound a little weird that a teacher was patting you down.
Yeah,
Banana hammock.
But you guys ever had those moments where you just a minute you're like, I wish I could go back, and I wish I could just have said this.
I've never had an adult pat me down as a kid.
Yeah, no, that never happened to me either.
I'd love to be back in the situation, be my
weird.
age now, and just be like, get lost, dude. Like, calm down. Like, it's just whatever.
Well,
I wouldn't want to fight that guy, but at the same time, like, what's wrong with you?
Well, nowadays that's got to be way worse, right? I mean,
Yeah.
it's everything's offensive now. So it's like you just, back then it was, if you did something, it was probably pretty rare. There's got to be kids getting reprimanded every 5 minutes nowadays.
Yeah, I can definitely see that.
No, but you're not allowed to reprimand these days.
Yeah.
You can't say anything.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you're beating that kid up? Oh, I can't touch you. Go ahead.
Do your thing.
All right, guys, I think we're out of time. Anything else we want to say before we wrap up? Any other memories you guys want to recall? Any other people you want to make fun of?
I'm not wearing any pants.
Well, let's
But you
have an argument about this.
They'll all come flooding in as soon as you push stop.
Yeah, exactly. A lot more stuff. All right. Well, thank you, Matt, for coming back on. I appreciate you coming out.
Anytime.
And giving us your fun insights. We'll have to have you on again. You'll be like our first reoccurring guest, if you will. And it's one of our goals to get you and Josh on at the same time. I think it's a thing. I just have to get Josh on in general, but I think we'll make it happen at some point.
I'll work on it.
We'll convince him. We'll get him down here.
Well, yeah, we'll bet on it over a game of whatever we used to play. Best two out of three.
It was Madden, wasn't it? Madden 64.
Yeah, it was Madden in some crazy double dribble basketball game, or some Sega hockey where you can make a Gretzky's head bleed.
All right, I like that game. All right, well, thank you everybody for coming back out and listening to us. As always, you can check us out on SoundCloud and iTunes. We're on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, all over social media these days. You can't really miss us, so check us out there. Subscribe to our YouTube channel if you're there. We appreciate you guys coming back. Of course, come back next week for more exciting stuff. But until then, we will talk to you guys later.
Bye.